Hello. So, I've been fucking around with some mechanical pencils, and I'm gonna show you how to make a weapon out of them. Now, there's two ways to do this. Of course, if you do not have access to a knife or, a cutting thing, then you can just break, then I'll show you how to do that. But but to make it better quality, you'd use a knife, like I do. So first step, get all the lead out. Usually they come with lead in them, so you just take that out. None left. So next step, you just kind of twist and pull this cap off of it. Sometimes it's a little tricky, especially when you've got sweaty hands. I might actually need to get a new pencil. This is not budging. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gotten the piece off. I've gotten the cap off, as you can see. So from here, I like to go like that to the side, have it on your leg so you don't cut yourself. Then you take the knife and so get a bit of view there of how I'm doing that. So you just push on it and then you cut it off. Depending on the pencil, it will either take a really short, okay, there we go, it just came off. It'll either take a very small amount of time and be perfect, or it'll be awful. So just don't worry about it if it turns out bad. It'll just make the pencil less aerodynamic with the dip. But this one turned out pretty good. So next step, this is where it gets a bit fun. So in this, I don't know about other pencils, but I've got you see that tiny hole there? That's how I measure where to cut. So there's one that's closer to the end, and then there's one that's farther to the end. I use for cutting the outside part, I use the one closer to this end. So just kind of same technique. Just don't have to push against your leg. So with this, you're not gonna cut all the way through. So I just like to get it started and then break it in half with my hands manually. Same with the inner piece. That should do it. And then we do the same, but this time use the farther hole instead of the closer. With my experience, it works a bit better. So you can see, made a nice cut in there. So then you just go like that. Perfect. Now with this one, it's a bit trickier. Could either turn out well or bad. So then you just break it. This one it could have been better, but it was alright. So now we've got our different pieces here. This is what I like to call the firing pin. We've got this, which is the bullet. You stick that in the end of this piece. Then you take this, which is the body. It's the piece with this part on it. Little blue thing on the top. Belt clip or whatever. So then we can do this two ways. We could stick the firing pin in this way, or we could do it on this end. Now be careful when you do this, because sometimes it can get really stuck in there and it just doesn't work if you do it in a certain way. So the way I like to combat that is I just take this cap and I just kind of wrench it around until it like breaks the bad broken part. Then you can stick this in here. There we go. So now it goes straight through without getting stuck. Because you want to stick this part of the bullet into here, which is more clean, rather than this easily breakable side, which is not good. So now, in order to load it, you just kind of push that in there. Be careful not to break it. So then, this is our completed, nearly completed weapon. So now, I'm just gonna shoot. As you can see, it's got quite a bit of power behind it. It works out a bit worse if you just manually break it with your hands if you don't have the knife. But it still works. And the reason it took me so long to make this was because I was creating some new, I was looking for new ways to improve on this. And I figured out that you can use the spring from it, and if you stick it in the firing pin, it shoots it much farther and faster. So you just have to put the spring in like that. Try to get it as straight as possible, but sometimes it doesn't work. And I'll do. And you put it in like that. It goes perfectly. A way I've figured out how to improve the grip a little bit, because sometimes your hands can get a bit sweaty and doesn't work as well. You just bend this. Be careful not to break it. Some of them are pretty fragile, so you just put your thumb here like this, and you push it in like that. You got a better grip. And the technique for shooting this that I've found that shoots the farthest is having your thumb like this over the grip, having your other thumb like that, and then wrapping your other two fingers around like that. Shoots much farther, much faster, much better. As you can see, the spring did not go flying. It is still there. So then you just load it up like that. It's perfectly fine. This does tend to fall out, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. I have not found any way to keep it in like that, so the best way I found to transport this, if you were, say, going to take this to school, you would keep this firing pin in one pocket and keep this in another, and that works the best for not losing this. Anyway, that's how you build a weapon out of a mechanical pencil. I will now show you how to do it just with your hands and not with a knife, in case you don't have access to that. Be right back. Okay, so I did manage to get the cap off of this. That's good. So now, once you've gotten the cap off and the lead out, like before, take your fresh pencil, and you try to get this cap off just by bending it in different directions. This is why I like using the knife. It's much easier and much cleaner. But this does still work to some degree. So also does take longer. Just trying to get this cap off. Eventually it will just come off. This one is being a bit stubborn. Alright, I'll be right back when I can get this off. Okay, this one did take me a while to get off, but surprisingly it came out pretty clean. That's probably the cleanest it's ever been without using a knife. I was not that lucky with other times, so. Now, we simply measure. I put my finger there to measure where the closer hole is, and then we just break it. So you can see it bends pretty badly. That significantly reduces the quality. And see how badly bent that is. In this case, you just stick the cap in like that. You wedge it around. It should make it a little less bent, because you cannot put anything in that. Does not work. Alright, so again, be careful when you're doing stuff like this, because sometimes when you stick this in, it does get stuck and you cannot get it out. This breaks a bit easier. You might not even have to use a knife for this one, but I like to, just in case. Sometimes it's a little unclean. So now we just test it out. That side doesn't look too good. Okay, I need to open it up even more. Okay. I would not use that. Still have to open it more. Okay, I just broke it. It's fine. It's actually good. Now it fits in. Not perfectly, but it sticks a little bit. But sometimes that's good. Maybe it won't fall out now. Okay. Now we take this. Put the bullet in like that. Just fine. Next we put that in like that. Just like before, you can bend the grip. Just like that. As you can see, not as powerful, but still it works. It works. If you build one of these, make sure to tell them to go to my channel, alright? So they can build their own. Don't take all the credit. This is copyrighted. Totally. Second test. Still not as powerful, but it works. I don't know where the spring went. Oh, there it is. There's the spring. So now, this did come off pretty clean, so it should fit just fine. Yep. Perfect. On your first try, this might not turn out as good as this. I've done this like 15 times, so and I also invented it, so I'm a bit more familiar than you might be. Just keep trying. Eventually, you'll get it down, and you'll be able to make your own arsenals and armies. Just make sure to tell them that I told you how to make it. So now, just so you can see it, still works like a charm with the spring. Again, that spring still in there. Alright, so that's how you build a weapon out of a mechanical pencil with just your hands and mechanical pencil and maybe a knife to make it better. Alright, I'll see you later. If you have any feedback, perhaps any ideas, I'll be willing to take any. Yeah, that's about it. Goodbye.